Well, it's another beautiful day today. There's a kingfisher nesting up here on the trees back behind us. They don't like it when I come out here, but that's tough. Another beautiful day today. It broke clear blue sky. It was clear all night. Clear blue sky this morning. Overcast for a little while later this morning, but then it's cleared up again. We got some cumulus buildups. Looks like it could be thunder showers maybe, but here to the south it is flat clear. Forecast is supposed to start raining here the next few days now. And boy, it is hot in here, hotter than a sauna. This thing acts as a heck of a greenhouse. Even with it blowing fresh air in here, it doesn't cool off. It gets pretty doggone hot. So that wing looks a little different than it did. I went and put a cross coat of the poly spray on yesterday morning and let it set up all day, and then last night after it cooled off enough to come in here and work, I just come in and just lightly went over everything with the sandpaper. Now you can't do a heck of a lot with the sandpaper on here because this is flexible. So when you put the sandpaper on there, if you have any pressure on there at all, if you have a lump on there that sticks up and you put any pressure on it to try to knock it down, it's just going to push it down and you're going to take material away from the rest of it. So I didn't even try to correct any of the big messes or anything on there. I just knocked the nibs down and stuff. Like I said, I just went over it lightly. I didn't take hardly anything off of there at all. So this morning I started out about 5 o'clock, came out here and blew out the paint shed again, the paint shop again, and swept it out. Then I washed the wing down with Prepsol again, and then took a mop and a bucket of water and washed the floor and got it good and wet. And I went over it with a tack cloth, and I had some poly spray left over from yesterday, and that was enough to go over it with one coat today just to cover up the scratch marks and stuff. So I didn't do a cross coat today. Yesterday I did a cross coat, the day before I did a cross coat. This morning I just did one coat of poly spray, and I was awful tempted just to put Polytone on it without doing any poly spray, but I thought I'd put poly spray on there and cover up the scratch marks from sanding. So I had just enough poly spray to make one coat on everything, and then I went out and dug out the Polytone. This is Insignia white Polytone. So I got 2 coats of Polytone, of Insignia white Polytone on here. Now if I was gonna leave this as white and have the white as my finish coat, I would probably put another cross coat of Polytone on here. I'd probably let this set up overnight or all day again today, and then tomorrow morning I'd probably put another coat of Polytone on it. But this is not the finished color. The finished color is going to be the yellow, and the white will allow the yellow to cover faster and be brighter, and it won't take as much paint to cover it as it would if it was a dark color, if it was just a poly spray. Well, that looks pretty darn good. Better and better every time I do this. Looks really good now. So this is going to have to set for about 3 or 4 days to make sure all the solvents flash out of there, evaporate out of that. There's several coats of paint on there. As hot as it is in here, as hot as it gets in here, probably won't take as long to flash out. And we've got air flowing in through here with the fan going, with blowing this thing up. But I'm going to let it set for 3 or 4 days anyway, just to make sure that all of the solvents get evaporated out of that poly material before I spray the finish coat on there. Well, anyway, this thing looks pretty doggone good. I'm not unhappy at all. Well, that's about all I'm going to do with this thing for a while now until we get ready to put the finish coat on it. And I called the paint shop last week to find out about getting some more of the finish color. I hope I've got enough of it to do here in stock, but I called them to see if they could get some more of it, and I haven't heard back from them yet, so I got to give them a call and see if they have my paint order. Anyway, it's too damn hot in here to stand here even with the door open. Been almost a week since I put the last coat of Polytone on that wing. Polybrush manual recommends that you leave it set for at least 3 to 4 days to let all of the solvents evaporate out of the paint before you put a finish coat over the top of it. So that's been more than enough time for that, especially in here in this paint booth. And temperatures in the daytime, well, it cooled off a little bit the last week. We had some rain and stuff and it's cooled off. It's been about 60 degrees or so, but even with it overcast, it gets about 80, 85 degrees or more in here in this paint booth in the daytime. And there's air flowing through here constantly with that fan blowing and to inflate this building and stuff. So all the solvents have pretty much evaporated out of that. Well, I came out here yesterday and took off the masking tape and stuff off the things that I didn't want to get polybrush on, but I want to get finish color on. So anyway, that thing is ready to paint. Only problem is I don't have any paint. I got a hold of the paint supply company up in Anchorage over 2 weeks ago to get the paint ordered, and they stonewalled me, ghosted me for almost a week. I'm finally able to get a hold of them again, and then it was another day before they got back to me again and told me that they didn't have the right pigments and stuff to mix the color I wanted. They did give me the name of another outfit in Anchorage that sells PPG paint, and I was able to get a hold of them and get the paint ordered, so it's on its way. Should be here any day now, depending on the whims of the transport people. Well, anyway, we're ready to go to paint. I just come out here, like I said, yesterday, took the masking tape off and stuff and got it ready to paint on all the metal parts and stuff that I want to get finish color on. I come out here a little bit ago and went over this thing with 320 sandpaper, just lightly. You got to be real careful going over that you don't scratch through that paint. That fabric is flexible, and if you hit a high spot or something and try to get it out of there, if you put any pressure on it to try to sand it out, you just sand all around it, and that spot will just sink into the fabric and stuff, and you'll get all around it. So anyway, there's not much on it that needed to be sanded down. We got a few little nibs on it and stuff, but it looks pretty good. And you got to be really careful and not go over the tapes where the cords are, where the cord is, the lacing cord is, to lace it down, because those are hard spots and you'll knock the finish off of that real quick. Same thing with the screw heads where they stick up. If you hit those with the sandpaper, you'll knock those down, knock the finish off of those real quick. So anyway, I got that all ready. I'll need to go over it with some Crepsol to get it cleaned up, the fingerprints and sanding dust and stuff like that off of it. But it's ready to go. It'll only take a few minutes to do that. Well, I went ahead and went and cleaned out the paint booth here. I got a big evacuation fan that I got to suck the fumes and stuff out of here. Problem is, it's so efficient that if I have this thing closed up, the fan that inflates this building won't keep up with it and it'll collapse the building. So anyway, I opened the back door and the front door, or the two back doors I should say, and stuck that thing in here, and then went over everything with a broom and knocked all of the overspray and dust off of it that I could get, and then went over it with a air nozzle, air gun, and blew everything out of here, and it got this building cleaned up and ready for the next time we get paint, when we're ready to paint. So it's all ready to go, just to start squirting paint on it when we get it. I'll still go over this floor with a wet mop and stuff to make sure that any dust on the floor, nothing gets kicked up on it, but I got it pretty well cleaned out in here. Well, I haven't been wasting the week. I've been getting ready to get stuff done on the airplane. While I've been working on the wing on the airplane, both the shop and the hangar have been catch-alls. And the hangar was pretty well filled up. It still is filled up. I've got all the tools in there still that I had in the basement, that I moved out of the basement to make room for the wing in there. But I've been trying to get everything ready to get the wing put back on the airplane and do the annual on the airplane. So I've been cleaning the hangar out when I got the shop straightened up, and I've been straightening out the hangar. We can't just take this stuff here and set it outside and leave it out there until we get ready to put it back in, until we get the airplane out of there, because this country is wet most of the time. It rains all the time, and there's a lot of stuff that I got that won't last very long if it gets wet. So I needed a place to get some of the stuff out of the weather. Well, my woodshed here was about half empty or more. Well, I restacked all the wood in it, got it moved around, made room in there, and I brought a bunch of the stuff that was in the hangar out here, kind of made some more room in there. I didn't get everything out of there. I don't have room for all the tools and stuff, but we'll figure that out here pretty soon when the time comes. One of the things that was taking up space in the hangar was this. I bought a mini split air conditioner heater unit last winter. I'm going to set it up here in the cabin and try it out and see how well it worked. And if it works okay, I'll get some of these and put in the big house. Or it's not really a big house, but I'll put it in the main house. We've been using electric heaters and everything so far, and they worked okay. Like this little cabin is only 16 by 16, and our little 1500 watt electric heater keeps us comfortable in there. Well, anyway, that was in the hangar sitting on the front of the airplane. So I got it out and hung it up, brought it out here, and I put the indoor unit up and got it hung. They're not hooked up yet. I don't have the lines hooked up to this unit, and I've still got to run power out to it. But I got them out of the hangar and out of the way. And then I got a propane tankless water heater, just a real small one, and mounted it up outside on the basement next to the basement door, closed it in with visqueen so we could have a shower out there. Since the bathhouse burnt down last winter, we haven't had a shower. We've just been hand washing in the sink and stuff. And anyway, now, especially now that it's warm and whatnot, it's nice to have a place to shower. Once I get done fooling with the airplane, then I can get a shower stall put in the basement there. I've got a drain and everything for it in the floor of the basement. I just don't want to take the time to work on it right now. Take the time away from working on the airplane. So here's inside the hangar. I still got all my tools and stuff in here on this side where the wing has got to go to get put on. We'll have to pull all that stuff out of there when we get ready to bring the wing down here and put it on. But I got everything else cleaned out so we can get around there. I got all my tools and everything all straightened up so I know where they're at. I can just go grab them real quick. Everything's going to be cleaned up and handy for when the mechanic comes here to do the annual on the airplane. Oh, here's my tool bench. It's set now, so we got room to work on it. It was piled so high with crap that you couldn't even tell it was there. I've got some parts and stuff I put in the ultrasonic cleaner, some screws and bolts and stuff to clean up. And then there was some parts for the wing struts that I put in some paint thinner and scrubbed the peralkatone off of those so we can see those, inspect them, and get them cleaned up anyway and ready to put back on. And there's my toolbox, all ready to go. The tools all organized on it, all cleaned out. Again, I had so much crap just stuffed in there that you couldn't get anything out of there if you wanted to, but it's cleaned up and ready to go now. All the tools are organized again and ready to grab, do what needs to be done. So I've got a few things that I need to do on the airplane. Of course, we need to inspect it and everything. The mechanic's got to look everything over and inspect everything, but I got some new control cables for the engine controls on there, the mixture control, carburetor heat control, and then the cabin heat controls. Of course, probably change the oil and clean the spark plugs and stuff like that. I got to pull the cowling off of there, and then I'll get all the inspection covers and stuff off here and get ready for the mechanic to do the inspection, floats and wing and tail. And then I need a new battery for the ELT. I ordered it yesterday. That's tough to get because that's a lithium-ion battery and it's hazmat, so that's a pain in the ass to get. Anyway, I got a little bit of work to do here on the plane to get it ready to pass the annual and get it ready to go for the season. So I guess I might as well get started on that.